Well, hey there, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. So I posted a few videos back about this little cedar desk that I'd saved from that abandoned house. I knew it was too pretty not to just leave in there and just let it just deteriorate on down. It was pretty beat up the way it is now, but I knew it had enough life in it. It needed to be restored, so I saved it. So I asked y'all about it if y'all wanted to see it restored, so I figured I'd show it to you, what I did to it. You can see there it used to be painted white, and the top has been busted off of it, and the finish on it's pretty wore and got some scratches on it, so it's gonna have to be stripped on down to the bare wood and started back from scratch. And it's pretty dirty and dusty all on the inside. And then living in the South in Alabama, you gotta fight dirt daubers and stuff all the time, so I had to knock off quite a few dirt daubers' nests on it. And there's inside of the desk, they were stained up like that, so I knew I was gonna have to clean up them and get them looking better. And the front of that one there, you can see it's busted off, but it's nothing I can just fix. I just will cut a piece and glue it back on and it'll be good to go. And you can see there it still had some remnants of somewhere where someone had painted it white. I don't know why in the world they painted white. Also, too, you see that bracing on the back. I guess at one time it may have had a mirror or something on the back of it. I'm not really sure. The piece wasn't with it when I found it like it was. But you can see it's kind of in rough shape, but it still has got some life in it. You just gotta do a little TLC on it, but that's what it looks like before. And I'll start into it now, just getting off the rest of that finish that's on it right now and trying to strip down to that bare wood, like I said. And I gotta get all that paint off of it too that was up under it where it was painted white. So I'm just gonna spray it down good with the stripper, let it sit for about 15 minutes there, and then you start kind of stripping it off. Now if you're using that wood stripper or either acetone too, and I use acetone a little bit later, if you're using that, make sure you're careful because that stuff burns pretty bad. And you see Chop's there, he's always there judging my work and make sure I'm doing it right. And now you can see where I got off what I could of the varnish. I've got off the majority of it pretty well, so now that I got it off, I can go ahead and probably gonna start the sanding process. There's the drawers there. They turned out pretty good. They stripped off pretty good, but the sides here, they were kind of stubborn. The finish on them had stuck pretty good, I reckon, when they'd put it on the first time. But then nothing, little time and sanding won't do to get it off. And there's another piece of the top there that's, you can see, was busted off, and that would have to just be glued on a little later. And there you can see I'm using some acetone as well to go ahead and clean it up and get off whatever else finish off I can get. And like I said, if you're using that stuff, just make sure you're careful because it can burn you. And once I'd washed it and cleaned it off good with acetone, I could start sanding it. And I started off initially sanding with 80 grit sandpaper, and here's the results after the 80. And you see there too on the front of that drawer there, I just went ahead and took off the face of that drawer. That way it could be pieced together later. You can see the white paint too's gone pretty well now after that first initial sand. I've still got a little bit up under there. You can see up under that edge too that's got to come off, but again, it's just nothing. There's a little time and sanding on and it will come right off. And you see there too at the end on that corner, that piece had been popped off, and I was going to worry with fixing on it because I wanted it to look kind of rustic and antique anyway. I didn't want it to be a perfect piece because it's older and it not like the character of the piece anyway. So you can see there after the first initial sanding there with the 80, it's starting to clean up pretty good. So now it's just continuing on sanding and cleaning up and smoothing up the wood. So 120 was the next one that I'd used. And as you can see there, I had a little mishap with that drawer. I went to slide it out and picked on the corner, and it went ahead and popped the face off there, but nothing, a little glue and pressure won't stick it back on, so there's nothing to it. And you can see there after the 120, it's starting to smooth on up there. There's still some spots, as you can see, right there on the face, but they'll continue after sanding. It'll continue to smooth on up and they'll go on away and fade away. But I mean, if they're there a little bit, like I said, it's fine, because I wanted the piece to have some type of character to it. You can see there's still just a touch more white paint, but it'll be gone after more sanding. And up under the desk there, that's going to be in the open, I'm going to stain it with a darker stain so it kind of cleans it up, and it's kind of dark under there. It's just keep it kind of covered up. And there's the back there. Continued on to clean it on up and get the rest of that white paint off and just smooth up the surface. So getting it ready for when I do put a finish on it. He'll take it and it'll look better. And there's the underside too. You can see a little white paint up under there, but it'll come on off again with some sanding. And there's the top. I finally showed it to you all together. It's a beautiful top there. It's just got to be glued and pieced back together, but nothing that a little glue and pressure won't fix. And then I moved on to 220 grit just to continue to smooth on up the face of the piece and also remove any of the other paint or rough spots on off. You can see where the piece is continuing to smooth on up there, and the colors of the wood and grain is starting to come out more too after sanding it with the 220. And there you see the white paint's pretty much gone. There's nothing there anymore. I don't know why whoever had it before would paint it white, because it's too pretty with the grain structure and then the colors that you get with cedar to paint. But to each their own, I guess. There's the back of it. Just continue to clean and smooth it on up with the sanding. That's all there is really to it. It's just a lot of cleaning and sanding and cleaning and sanding. And after I've done the 220, I'm going to go ahead and glue on the top and use the Gorilla Glue. And with it, it needs to be a little moist, so I wet down the pieces and then clamped it down with my redneck clamps of some hydraulic jacks and a battery. And there's a piece that I cut to fit there on the front of that drawer. So then I'm going to dampen down them pieces and then just throw a little glue on there, clamp it down and let it sit. And I let the sit for 24 hours so it makes sure it adheres really well. And there you see, you just got that clamped down there. And now I've got to fix my mistake there, breaking that little piece off. But like I said, nothing, that little glue and a little pressure won't fix. So I dampen them pieces down, put glue on it and just let it sit. And after those had sat 24 hours, I glued the rest of the top and just dampen those pieces down and let them sit for 24 hours. And there's what they look like after sitting. There's a few cracks there, but I'll show you how to fill those in and fix them in a minute. And there's the top all the way together now. You can see it's got some cracks in it there, but I'll fill those in here in a minute. All that sanding comes into play now to fix those, to fill them in. So what I did, all my sawdust that I'd saved from sanding, I dumped it in a bucket. And then you can get regular wood glue and you'll mix it together until you get just like a paste, and you'll get kind of the consistency of a peanut butter, pretty much. I don't have the formula for the right measurement, so I just mix until I get the right consistency, and then I just kind of spread it over and pack it and push it down in the crack to fill it in. And use the sawdust from what you're sanding, so when it does dry, it's going to be pretty close to the same color of your wood that you're using. So again, just fill it in and try to keep it smooth as you can, so when you go to sand it off, and when it's dry, you don't have a lot of sanding to get it off. And I got to fill in the gap on that drawer and then the other drawer as well. So again, it's just putting the paste on there and let it sit for 24 hours to dry and cure on there, and then you can sand it on off. Like I said, now that they've dried for 24 hours, I can go ahead and start sanding them off and getting them smooth. And there's what it looks like after getting it sanded down the crack. You can still see it there, but it's not as noticeable. And then once I've sanded it some more and then put your finish on, they'll kind of disappear pretty well and you won't notice it as bad. It'll just look like a kind of a grain structure in there as well. And that's what the top turned out. And there's my drawers. That one fades away really well, and that one does good too. Now that I've got it all together, now I can go into hand sanding, and then I finished it with just 320. That's what I finished my sanding with, and here's what it looks like after the 320. It's cleaned it on up and smoothed it up really well now. Now I can, after I've got it with a 320, I'll clean the piece off really well. And once I've got it clean, I'm gonna put a wood conditioner on it. I forgot to video that step when I was doing it, but I just cleaned the piece off and then I conditioned the piece really well, so when you go to putting on your finish, it goes and takes better into the wood, and it'll look cleaner in the end as well. And this wood, it was older and been not taken care of, so it would kind of dried out, so it needed some conditioning really well. And I'm not sure why they used pine on the back there, but I guess when they was making, they ran out of cedar, so they put the back as pine and right there, but it's still a pretty little piece. And that's after the 320. And these are the pulls I decided to go with. They're black, and then they've got some copper streaking in them. That I wanted that kind of copper streaking. I knew it'd go really well with the cedar, with the reds and kind of oranges in there. It'll kind of accent it and look better. And now, after I conditioned it, I can go ahead and start putting on my finish on it and start going coat by coat with it. And in between each coat, I did a light sanding with 400 grit sandpaper just to smooth up my finish, and if there's any little rough spot in it, it'll smooth it on up. And this is what I did with the drawers. I just got a walnut stain, and I just stained them all over, inside and out, so we can clean them up and just to cover up the stains that were in them to begin with. And here's what the piece looks like finished after 3 coats of polyurethane and then sanding in between. 3 coats is usually all I put on a piece, because that'll take quite a bit of wear. And it turned out really well. I was happy with it. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I wanted to have the character in it. And I always enjoy using a high gloss finish, especially with cedar, because I think it goes together well and helps to show the wood grain and structure better of the piece. And this is a really fun project to do. I've got more that I want to do, and if y'all want to see them too, I'll share them as well. I might show them to you in another video and see what y'all think about them. But this one turned out really good. Like I said, I really enjoyed doing it. It's fun to me, and like I said, then the one asking if y'all want to see it, I'm no professional. I just enjoy restoring wooden pieces. And there's the back of it. And you can tell it's high gloss because you can see the glare off of it, just a shining. Looks like a new penny. There's the underside there again. And then the other side. And like I said, it was a really fun, enjoyable piece to do, and I hope y'all enjoyed watching. And like I said, I've got more pieces that I want to work on that I can share with y'all if y'all want to see them, because I'll be glad for sure to do them and share them with you, because I love it, enjoy doing it. But like I said, I'm no expert. I just enjoy doing it, and I know a little bit. But anyways, I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all watching as always. Y'all please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.